Hey everyone, welcome back. This is JUCO Jam, Season 2, Episode 5. With me as always is junior college basketball legend Brandon Goebel. Mr. Goebel, Happy New Year. Thanks for being here.
You too, buddy.
All right, let's get right into the rundown on some of the awesome games that happened last week. Wednesday, we had a barn burner. Hutchinson 63 at Butler 60. Big win for Hutch. Cameron Thomas with 21 and 7. Hutch struggled from 3, 4 from 16. One of your favorite players in junior college basketball, Jamichael Stillwell, with 16 and 12. Talk Hutch Butler.
Yeah, how about a Hutch game ending with a 63-60 win? That's new territory. And I think we talked about this a little bit in the fall before the break of, Hutch finding a way to win some of these games that are not necessarily playing out to their, chosen style. So big win for Hutch. I mean, Butler is super, super talented, really well coached. But that's a great way for them to start off the year here.
Saturday, let's kind of talk about things in the newly formed Citrus Conference. I think it's kind of taken a little bit of the luster away from the Panhandle. Some of these power teams in Florida, outside of Northwest and Chipola, getting together. Daytona State versus Indian River. It was at points a really tough game to watch. Indian River had 25 turnovers, led by Mason Brown, who had 19 points, who had one of the greatest dunks I've ever seen at the junior college level. Daytona State, led by Josue Gruyan with 22 points and Isaiah Dorcius with 20 off the bench. Daytona State just having a great season. They're going to be a tough team here to contend with in the second half.
Yeah, Coach Joey Canton's had Daytona ready for that Indian River press. Indian River's going to win a lot of games this year. They're really talented. Deng Majak with 15 and 11 for Indian River, one of the best bigs in junior college basketball, especially able to play at that speed and pace. But they just couldn't keep control of the ball. You got 25 turnovers against Daytona State. You're going to be in trouble just because they can kind of score from everywhere and they play really hard.
And then another game in the Citrus Bowl. Florida Southwest goes on the road and beats Eastern Florida 82-78. I believe that Florida Southwest hit 11 out of 23 from three. If Florida Southwest gets anywhere near that level of 3-point shooting, Des Lindsey, Tyrone Baker, I think they're a team that's going to be in this down the stretch. And if they get the Hutch, nobody's going to want to see Florida Southwest on the other side. This was a great basketball game.
Yeah, this was definitely the Des Lindsey experience. He had 33, 10, and 4 in this one. Just a huge way to step up like that. Owen Aquino for Eastern Florida, who's been phenomenal all year. It wasn't quite enough, but 21, 8, and 4 for him. Again, two very talented teams. They're going to win a lot of games. It's always interesting as we kind of now go into the conference slate here and start to see, who can steal one on the road because with the way that things are set up, with only four teams from each conference being able to get in, now is when things really start to matter.
Absolutely. Going into Region 14, Trinity Valley beats Blinn 81-73. Mackay Dorsey 22. Ahmad Bynum with 18 points. Trinity Valley, they just keep on winning. They were in the national tournament last year. They're certainly going to be in the mix this season as well.
Yeah, one of the toughest teams in the country. We weren't really quite sure what they were going to have coming in. Um, you know, but I talked to coach, the assistant coach at in Wichita, and he just kind of really focused on like, hey, we are tough. Like we're going to play hard. We'll see what happens with scoring and everything. And sure enough, Mackay Dorsey with a great game. Ahmad Bynum's one of the best players in the country, and they just kind of keep rolling right now.
And a lot of nice support players around those two as well. A really interesting game. Two evenly matched teams. Southeastern defeats Olney 74-70. Both teams have kind of been like right on the cusp of ranked receiving votes all year. They've split the series. Olney beat Southeastern by 4 points at their place earlier in the year. Inslee Carroll with 18 for Southeastern. Southeastern Olney, they're going to be, at the top of their regions as well, right in the mix. These are, teams that are fighting to make a run late in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Teams that can beat anybody on any given night. Inslee Carroll with a great 18-point game, like you mentioned, freshman out of Virgin Islands, somebody that will absolutely have our eye on this year as one of the better freshmen in the country.
That concludes the rewind. Let's transition to the rundown, look at the week ahead. So, as we record this, folks, this is Monday. So, keep in mind that we do not know how these games have transpired. So, tonight we have Odessa, Midland, heavyweight matchup. Two teams I think were both in the top 10 earlier in the season. Two teams that could certainly get back into the top 10, even top five as we go throughout the rest of the season. What do you think about when you have Coach Bucket versus Coach Trey Arnold?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a heavyweight title fight. Odessa stumbled, towards going into the break there. But if anybody's going to get him reset, it's going to be Coach Bucket. They need Brandon Macklin to return back to being the Macklin that he was a little earlier in the season. I think he's fully capable of doing that. And then Trey Clark, is really the guy from Midland. Had 34 against Cochise in a loss late. So both teams kind of looking to bounce back to start the new year off right here. But they're having to do it in a major conference matchup.
And we do more than just talk about Kansas, Florida, and Texas. We're going to talk about Oklahoma for a second too, because they play basketball there. Tonight, Connors State plays Western Oklahoma State. And Western Oklahoma State may not be a household name in junior college basketball. They got a couple of really talented players.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Rowe does a fantastic job there. The Oklahoma region has maybe some limited resources compared to some of those other conferences. They do a great job. Connor State hasn't really been tested yet this year, but Braden Hubbard is still one of my favorite players. He's averaging 26 a game so far. So it's going to be great to see them kind of get into the teeth of conference play and see how that goes. And then you've got Jack and Chang Hoth at Western Oklahoma State, the two twins who are completely identical. I've got no idea which one is which when I'm around them, but they average combined almost 40 points a game. And it's something like 20 for one and 19 for the other. They both shoot the heck out of it. They're both about 6'4". They're both going to Oakland next year. That was a big time pickup for Coach Campy when you can recruit one and get two. But
Ogo.
should be a great game.
Oakland has turned into a really sweet spot for junior college players making that transition to the Division I level. They have done a great job at getting those guys ready to play and do big things.
Yeah, the assistant Jeff Smith there has been around the game for a really long time, and he recognizes kind of in the current context of recruiting in Division I basketball that junior college is really a sweet spot that they can go into and get some elite talent. And so they've been really putting a lot of emphasis on that.
Just going off the top of my head here, right? Jalen Moore from Olney, DQ Cole, Division II player out of Michigan, JUCO. Those are two guys that maybe weren't from household names, just like Western Oklahoma State, not a junior college powerhouse traditionally. So, I mean, great job recruiting, finding the diamonds in the rough, in the junior college circuit. Now, heavyweight matchup here to close out the evening: South Plains versus New Mexico. New Mexico, one of my favorite gyms in junior college basketball, aesthetically pleasing. Talk to me about South Plains, New Mexico.
Yeah, South Plains, number one team in the country for a reason. They had a tough battle against Pratt, but pulled that one out. So undefeated on the season. Jabari McGee, who's going to UAB next year, has been fantastic for them. But they've also got Jalen Hampton, and then you've got Malik Ewan. Is not putting up crazy offensive numbers because he just gets things done at a hyper efficient rate. When he takes a shot, it goes in. He doesn't do anything crazy, and he's averaging 10 rebounds as well. On the other side, Antoine Massey has been phenomenal for New Mexico. Had 30 against Ranger the other night. He's averaging 15 and 8. Everybody's talking about Bear Cherry, who's phenomenal and is going to UNLV next year. But Antoine Massey really stepping up this season has been a huge part of why they've been so successful.
What position is he at the Division I level?
Um, Run around and get stuff done position. I
The
mean, he's kind
winner, you just put him on the court and figure
You
it
just
out
put him on
later.
the court and he's going to figure it out. It really kind of depends on how you play. He can play multiple positions. He can guard and switch all over the place, which is, a big part of his game. And so as he continues to get more comfortable in who he is as a player, he's just going to keep getting better.
Tuesday night, we have Indian Hills travels to Sauk Valley. I think this is a really interesting matchup. I think Coach AJ Dixon, fellow financial advisor at Sauk Valley, does a really, really good job. Sauk Valley's played a lot of tough games early this season. And this is a true road game for Indian Hills. This is a good early season or early second semester game for Indian Hills.
Yeah, Indian Hills still kind of trying to find themselves a little bit when you watch them play. They're getting help from a lot of different places. Consistency has probably been one of their biggest frustrations so far. But obviously Trevion LeBeau is one of this show's favorite players, just that junkyard dog guy. And then I'm really really interested to watch freshman William Boudre-Cassie as he's kind of getting more minutes. He's like 6'9". He plays like a wing three, whatever you want to call him, shooting guard, small forward role. He's just a little bit all over the place. He's averaging 7 and 4 right now as a true freshman, but he's got a ton of experience from France coming over here. And so, the language barrier and learning how to play and all that sort of stuff is really, really hard. And so for him to be as successful as he's been so far just in the first semester is very impressive. Now that he's getting more and more comfortable, he's getting more minutes. He's becoming more of an impact player on this team. I think Williams one of those guys to really watch out for. That if Indian Hills is going to make a run at Hutch, some of it could have a lot to do with him.
You know, when I put on my like scout hat on, which I don't do very often, but he's one of those kids you watch in junior college basketball that you say like, wow, he has a lot of natural upside and ability, right? I don't think that he's quite put it all together yet, but probably their season is going to largely depend on is, how close can he get? How much improvement can he make over the next 90 days to determine how far Indian Hills goes? Wednesday night, we got a couple of great matchups. I know probably the coaches around the Jayhawk conference are going to be dialed into this one. Barton versus Garden City. I mean, there's a lot of Division I players on the court for this game.
Yeah, I mean this is going to be just a grudge match. Lahai Jones, 6'7", 16 and 9 this year for Barton. Has really stepped up and said, hey, I'm going to lead us this year. And then on the other side, Garden City's got Braxton Jones that has just really taken off. Kind of later in the fall here, he's averaging 21 and 4. Brody Robinson's one of the best point guards in the country, maybe the best point guard in the Jayhawk. They're just so guard driven. They've got solid play out of Tut and Chukwu, but really it's those guards I think that make Garden City go. So this should be a great fight.
Can't miss basketball. And then we got some blue blood action Wednesday night. We have Salt Lake versus CSI. I mean, this game just kind of gives me chills to talk about it, right? These are two of the blue blood programs in all of junior college basketball. When I think about the top programs, these are two of the teams that come to mind. And thank goodness we get to watch this matchup at least 3 times a year.
Yep,
Uh,
absolutely. CJ Luster has been everything as advertised. 17 and 8 this year. He's maybe the best shooter in the country at 47% from three. And then on the other side, you've got a Sim Jones averaging 20 a game for CSI. Those two going at it is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
and it's going to happen in a great environment too, right? You have a great crowd on hand.
Absolutely.
Thursday, we're going to go back to Western Texas, Midland versus Howard. Howard at home, always tough. This is just kind of the start of 2 months of amazing basketball of conference play.
Yeah. We talked about earlier Trey Clark from Midland. They're gonna go as he goes. But Howard has Joey Madimba, and he didn't get to play the first 5 games of the season after transferring. But now he is locked in and ready to go. He's played, I think, 8 or 9 games so far. He's averaging 23 and 6 over those, and he's just been an absolute monster. Recruiting has really picked up for him lately. People kind of recognizing, that oh my gosh, this guy can really play. So watching him go against Midland and really get into the tough part of whackjack play now is going to be super fun to watch.
All right, take a deep breath, Brandon. We're going to transition to Saturday. We have 9 games to talk about on Saturday, and
Heyo.
for everyone's benefit, I'm going to package these into three packs for you. We're going to go 3 by 3. All right.
Awesome.
Game number 1, Brunswick versus Caldwell Tech. Once again, people say we only talk about 3 conferences. This is Region 10. I want to talk about Caldwell for a second. Caldwell 13-1 on the season. They've defeated Harcum, Chattanooga State, which has pretty much been honorable mention receiving votes all year, and Monroe. Their only loss was to Indian River, 126-120. I think Caldwell Tech could be one of those number 20, 21, 22 seeds in the tournament that is going to cause somebody, trouble. They're not going to be an easy game if they get to the national tournament, If you're looking for this year's Trinidad State, maybe it's Caldwell Tech. I'm going to package that game with you. John A. Logan versus Vincennes. This is a great grudge match. Two great coaches. Coach Smith Peters coming off a national title versus the Hall of Famer Todd Franklin. And then game number three, Cali and Cloud. So there's a three pack. Any initial thoughts on that threesome?
Yeah, I'm with you on Caldwell Tech. Brunswick does a great job. There's actually a lot of talent in Region 10. If you go and look at some of where those players go and they're successful, Spartanburg is good this year. Shout out Major Freeman, who may also be one of the other best shooters in the country. Caldwell Tech, won that matchup earlier. Yeah, you're right. Caldwell Tech absolutely is not going to be a household name, but it's somebody that could come in and beat you. They've got some good players, and so that's going to be interesting to kind of see who comes out of that region. John A. Logan, Vincennes. John A. Logan obviously not having the season that they really want so far, but Vincennes is, kind of going that way, and a lot of it has to do with 6'3" freshman qualifier point guard LeBron Thomas, 17-4 this year. When Todd Franklin teams are very good, they have phenomenal point guards, and LeBron is one of those phenomenal point guards. And then Cali Cloud is going to be so much fun. Cloud runs a really cool system that you don't see very often in junior college basketball, because turning over a roster every year and getting them to learn Princeton principles right away is not an easy thing to do, but they're phenomenally coached. And how excited are you for the matchup of Jeff Nwankwo and Cheick Sao? I mean, those two are just like heavyweight fighters. They're going to go toe to toe. These are guys that are going to be playing high mid to high major basketball next year. And so, watching those two go at it in a conference game is as good as it gets.
Gonna be must watch television. All right, I'm gonna hit you with three pack number two. We have Triton versus Highland, uh, Lee at Navarro, and then Chipola, who at this point has played no one. You'd have to give them an incomplete. They've only played one game versus a team that's ranked or receiving votes versus Northwest Florida, who's played a very difficult schedule. So I would say, even though I've watched Chipola several times, I have no idea who they are. Versus Northwest Florida, who I think we have a pretty good idea who they are. So I'm really excited to watch that game Saturday night.
Yeah, the Triton Trinity, as I call them, Amar, AJ, and Dylan. Those three guards for Triton are, maybe the one of the best three pack of guards that you have in the country. Highland, well coached, always a tough game. Lee Navarro, two of the better coaches in the country. Lee has really, really stepped it up this year. And then yeah, Chipola, Northwest Florida, like Chipola, Donnie Tyndall. Who doesn't matter who they've played, that is going to be a tough
We'll be
game. Gerald
ready.
Colonel,
Yeah.
yeah, Gerald Colonel, one of my favorite players. Just super, super tough. But yeah, you're right. It's a lot of like we don't really know yet. They lost to Indian River earlier, who again we talked about, incredibly talented team, but also their schedule a little on the lighter side. So watching both Chipola and Indian River going forward, and now getting into the teeth of this schedule is going to be fun to watch. And then Northwest Florida, Tavion Banks just finished up a visit or is about to take a visit. Can't remember which, to Iowa State. Has been one of the tougher players out there. And then Tawan Simpkins for them as well has been phenomenal. So, loaded top to bottom, but this is going to be a heavyweight matchup. We've got a lot of those. We like to say heavyweight matchup a lot on this show, but the fun part is, in junior college, when you're dealing with this, it's kind of like every week we've got a bunch of, North Carolina Duke games in the context of junior college basketball. So when you get into conference play, that's when things really, really get fun.
Yeah, and we've extended the greatness of junior college basketball because I think what the NJCAA selection committee has done to require the great programs to go out and play other great programs. So November is better than November's ever been. And now we're into the traditional great season of junior college basketball. So my final Saturday three pack for you: Blinn Panola, Snow CSI, Mineral, and Moberly. Give me your quick thoughts there, BG.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about this later, but Panola playing with a heavy heart with the loss of Tad Andrews, the assistant. And like I said, we're going to talk about that later. But Yafet Mundi for Panola has been as good as advertised this year, 14-11. That's going to be a team playing for something a little different, I think, this week. And so, thoughts to those guys, but really, really excited to watch Panola kind of get into the second half of the season here, see if they can make a run. Snow CSI is a phenomenal game. Max Triplet has been absolutely stunning for Snow. Just a big, physical, skilled, tough dude that he's
What they
old.
do at Snow.
Huh?
What they do at Snow,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. He's a return missionary. He's an older guy. He is a grown man, and he's been showing it and proving it. And then Mineral Moberly. Mineral is such an interesting team. They have 5 players averaging 11 to 13 a game. That's really kind of, as you just take a quick glance at it. Why has this team been successful? Because they get at you from everywhere. Coach Heyer has really got those guys playing really well. So that should be, as it typically is, a great matchup. It should be another one.
And because we talk about everyone, all the great games, we don't care where they take place or what region they're in. Sunday, Dawson versus North Dakota State College of Science. I believe it's going to be a whiteout.
Yeah,
Didn't you
it probably is.
in more way than one?
Yeah, yeah. And I talk to those coaches, and it always like baffles me how few games get canceled out of that conference. I'm like, how is this possible when there's like 4 feet of snow? And they're like, eh. They're so used to it. But Dawson's got Ty Buckman, and then they've got 2 true freshmen, Justin Assey and Seth Amenrud, that have been phenomenal for them. Joe Peterson, no stranger to Hutch. Obviously has to go through that tough Iowa region to make it there, but this is a team that can absolutely do it this year. And then, of course, North Dakota Sciences has Peyton Newbern, who's just been the Swiss Army knife for them, 15-5-5. And they've got 7-2 Calvin Sisk, who's just an absolute monster, very rare to see a big guy like that in junior college. And when you do, it's kind of tough for them to get a lot of minutes sometimes just because of the pace of junior college basketball. But Calvin's been fantastic, averaging 11, 7, and 2 blocks for them. So going to be a fun game to watch.
Really looking forward to that. It's going to be a great atmosphere. That concludes the rundown. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll be in the spotlight with Cali coach Donnie Jackson.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. Today on the spotlight, we have head coach Donnie Jackson of the Cali Tigers. Coach, you are off to an amazing start this year. 14-1, 12 consecutive wins, undefeated in Jayhawk conference play, and one of my favorite stats about your team, 76.7% from the free throw line. I know that is good coaching. Tell us a little bit about what you like most about this team.
Well, first, I'd like to appreciate you guys for inviting me on the show. Always happy to spend time with you guys. Appreciate what you guys do for JUCO Hoops. And what was your question again? I want to acknowledge you guys first.
Yeah, great. Well, what do you like most about this year's team? Off to a great start.
I'd say my leadership. My returners have been phenomenal in the locker room and on the everyday grind and practice. I'll use an example. The other day, I got called into a late meeting and it made practice for me start a little later. Hey, Jeff, Damari, and Corey, Jeff Wanquo, Damari Smith, Corey Thomas, I come into the gym, they got those guys going hard. And they got a sweat going through our normal warm-up stuff. And I come into the gym, I'm like, what the heck's going on? And our trainer, Blake Smith, said, hey, they said, Coach has to run a little late. let's go ahead and get started. And they asked me if I'd run the clock. And just right there is what I like most about the team, is just the daily energy and leadership that they bring. It's been a welcome change this season.
One of the cool things about following over the years is that winning seems to follow you wherever you go. And I remember a couple of years back, and I think it was an Elite Eight game where you lost to eventual national champion Coffeyville, and that felt like, just a heavyweight game. And I'm glad it got played at that level for people to see. But what has been what you think the key for you that has led to all the success that you've had on the court?
Well, I want to make sure I acknowledge Tommy DeSalm over at Hutch. He was my mentor and boss for 11 years, and I also played for him when I was a senior in college, and then going against him all these years. But he taught me a lot of things as a young coach, and a lot of it's just the daily work ethic and grind that you got to have. But the thing that I think that we hang our hats on is trying to find guys that are motivated or have a chip on their shoulder, or find something that can keep them pushing through the long season, because it is a long season. I mean, basically you're starting in August grinding out, then you got all the showcases and tours and all those things, and it's a long season. So I just try to find guys with common goals, and just like myself, I was a walk-on in college, and it took me 5 years to graduate high school, and honestly I try to find guys like that have something to prove, and I think that's the reason we've been successful over the time, is just having guys that are kind of poor, hungry, and driven, and want a chance to reach further goals.
I live down in the Carolinas. I don't get to travel to see games in person. I know Brandon gets to see you guys in person from time to time. But one thing that's always stood out, I think Cali does a great job with the live stream, and just the whole media element of Cali, I think, is really cool. But one of the things that always sticks out to me, it seems like your school has an amazing student body, crowd, great support from the fans. What are you guys doing to kind of foster this great environment? Because you certainly don't see that at every junior college in the country.
Well, our athletic director, Jeff Flutie, he's been here. He's athletic trainer here for a long time, but he brings up the word Tiger Strong or the Tiger Way, and athletics at Cali has been successful across the board in a lot of programs. The history of volleyball, baseball, basketball, you can go on down the list. Softball, track and field, cross country, wrestling, all of them are pretty good every year. But the community supports us really well. And I like mingling with the students and helping with move-in days, and going down to the underground where we do study halls, and meeting students to try to get them to come out to the games. And I think it's important that we go out and support them too, so that they support us. But they do get rowdy. They sit right on top of the visitors bench. I remember when I played at Allen County, coming over here, it was always so tough to play, because they're definitely going to let you know about yourself.
I love that. I think that's one of the things that makes junior college so fun. And you're a former, JUCO product yourself. You've been coaching here, for a while now. This is not your first year in JUCO by any stretch of the imagination. What keeps you at the JUCO level, and what do you enjoy so much about it?
It's all the relationships, and then all the stories that come along with it. I'll bring up one of my favorite ones, Damari King. When I was at NOC Tonkawa, he walked on at NOC Tonkawa, and now look at him. He's all-time three-point shooting leader at Jacksonville State. He hit 123s for us, led NOC Tonkawa the first national tournament in 20 years. And now he's playing overseas. But that's what I like. I mean, it was my path out. I walked on in JUCO, and that's why I stay here. I want to give back. It's the perfect level to relate to kids. There's still some authentic and genuineness to this level. And that's why I love it, because you can have real relationships with these guys. You can coach them hard. And then I love seeing the success stories that come along with it.
That's beautiful, beautifully and well said. So about this team, I think you guys have a real chance to go to the national tournament, make some noise. I know you're going to give me some level of a coach speak answer here, but what are a couple of the elements that you would like to see from your team from now until middle of March, of where you want to see improvement to what you guys need to win a national title?
Well, the coach speak side will be staying healthy. You gotta have that, and then keeping the guys' mindset sharp. But things we definitely got to get better at are playing complete games. I mean, we'll get up 15, 20 points, and then teams get right back into it. And I think that can come back and get us if we don't tighten that up. And then you know, just getting some more confidence from guys off the bench. I mean, we've had some freshmen step up for us. Actually, I like all of our freshmen that play meaningful roles. But once the second go around to conference starts coming into play, and there's so much film and scouting and great coaches in the Jayhawk conference, is how well they're going to make adjustments. When teams adjust to us, because there's a few things we got to adjust on the second go around, and even on these last 3 games coming up with Pratt, Cloud, and Butler, it's going to be a tough stretch. But just little things like that is making adjustments as other teams make adjustments.
Well, Coach, I get to wrap us up with the most important question of the whole thing. The one that you didn't know was coming. So I need you to visualize here for me. You just finish a road grind game, in the Jayhawk. I mean, every night is crazy, right? And you get the big win and you say, you know what, boys, we're doing something special tonight. So the bus pulls in, you get the glow of the red and the green neon sign of Chili's. What are you ordering at Chili's?
Oh man, I was hoping you'd say maybe Whataburger or Wingstop, but Chili's.
This was a big win. We're celebrating.
Yeah, we're celebrating. I'm probably gonna get the sampler, the platter when you get the wings and the Southwest egg rolls and the chips and queso and all the good stuff. That's probably what I would get.
I feel like that's a power move. I mean, we haven't had anybody do that one yet. But variety is the spice of life. And so, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised. We've got the best beard in basketball. Of course, he's going to go sampler platter. Why didn't
you want to score on all 3 levels, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
That's how you build your
100%.
team. It's how you build your dinner. I mean, I think that's a strong play. I think you have a very balanced basketball team, and it doesn't surprise me one bit when I hear that answer from you.
Absolutely.
Well, shout out to my ex-wife. She worked at Chili's, so I took my kids there often. We have a great relationship, but we ate there quite a bit when she was a bartender for a while, and so I know the menu well.
That's awesome. Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on. Up next, we are headed to the grind.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are now going to enter the grind. We're going to feature one of the best players in junior college basketball, Braxton Jones, a guard from Garden City, currently averaging 21.1 points per game, 37% from 3, 83% at the free throw line, a 3.7 GPA. He's checking a lot of boxes. Brandon, what do you see with Mr. Jones?
Yeah, checking all the boxes, right? He's smart. He's tough. He defends. He shoots the mess out of it. He's an 83% free throw shooter, which I know you like.
That.
Started out at Hartford, when they in their final season as a Division I team, and then when they inexplicably decided to go Division III, Braxton needed to find a new home and found it in Garden City. And he has been a huge part of that team this year. I think there was, not like question as far as is he good or not, but how was he going to contribute with a point guard like Brody Robinson, who's phenomenal? There's a lot of scoring options on that team, and he really has just found a way to just get a lot of things done. Leading into the break, he had 31 on Northwest Kansas Tech. At Seward, he had 33, and then at Coffeyville, had 13 the other night. Wasn't shooting it quite to his standards, I guess, that night, but still got the win. Their offense has just really kind of exploded where it was sputtering a little bit, late November, early December. And Braxton is one of those that just has turned it on and said, "Hey, I got this. Let's go win some games." And so, he's one that I really, really expect coaches to be focused on going into conference play here, because, now every night being such a phenomenal game, the success that he has on the court, as well as, all those other talented players around him. I mean, there's 5 or 6 Division I guys at minimum on that roster. He's still going to find a way to really stand out.
He's had a great season. Excited to see what he does in the second half as we really get into the teeth of that Jayhawk conference season. We're going to transition now to the show where we feature a former junior college player having success at the next level. Tonight, we're going to talk about Yaxel Lindeborg, one of my favorite players last year at Arizona Western, currently at UAB. UAB took 3 that I know of highly touted junior college kids, along with Yaxel. Right, they signed Alejandro Vasquez from Salt Lake and Christian Coleman from South Plains. But Yaxel has really elevated himself to kind of top of the class right now. So 6'9", 230. Averaging roughly 12 and 9. He's been in big time double range the last 7 games, and I think this kid has a tremendous amount of upside. He's produced at every level. What do you see with Mr. Lindeborg?
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the last half of the games that they've played so far, those averages go through the roof.
Yeah.
Everybody takes a minute to kind of get their feet underneath him. It didn't take him very long. He has been as advertised. He was a J48 guy. We loved him out in Vegas. I guess that was J48 Vegas, and just really showed up and showed that why he's different. He's been incredible to watch. He's an awesome kid. I enjoy catching up with him and talking to the coaches about how he's doing. If funny story about Yaxel, you've got a guy that's out there just dominating right now, playing high level basketball. He's got a lot going on. He's, school and basketball and everything else. He texted me the other day about a kid who's in junior college right now that's a friend of his, sending over some film, sending over some information about this kid. Hey, can you help this kid get some looks and recruited? I mean, that's who Yaxel is, right? Like he's a star on the court, but for him to take time out of his insane day to try and help one of his friends get looks is, tells you everything you need to know about him. So really, really excited and happy to see him doing well.
And I had a sneaking suspicion that he would do a lot better than people thought, because over the last 30 years of watching junior college basketball, one thing that I've noticed that translates incredibly well is that when you rebound at the junior college level, that's a really transferable skill to the Division I level. Sometimes
his rebounding numbers were insane in junior college.
Crazy. But over the last 7 games at UAB, I think he's averaging close to 14 boards a game.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just got a nose for the ball. And he scores in a really efficient way. He did that at Arizona Western too. I mean, he had some crazy like a 30 and 28 game last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's shooting 18 shots. I mean, he's very, very efficient offensively. So I'm not surprised by the success he's having. I'm very happy for him. I've heard nothing but great things about who he is as a person. So good luck to Yaxel the rest of the way. It's great to see, all these junior college kids having success at the Division I level. So that concludes the show. When we come back, we're going to have our 6th man with our closing thoughts.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are now on the sixth man, where we just give you some closing thoughts. And my sixth man is going to be Alondis Williams, former Triton player. He's been in the G League. He recently dropped 55 points in a single game, 55, 8, and 6, I believe. He's been in the mix, right? He's been in the league a little bit. It would be great to see Alondis get a chance in the NBA. I think if he got a real chance with consistent minutes, I think he could really make a name for himself. But great job, Alondis. 55 points. Everybody in junior college basketball is cheering for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he was a heck of a player in college. He's going to be a heck of a player. He's going to make a lot of money for a long time. 55, 8, and 6 will help you get there. So for my sixth man today, we're going to talk a little bit about assistant coach Tad Andrews from Panola Junior College. Passed away the other night in his sleep. Tad was beloved across all of junior college. He was a national champion with John A. Logan. He coached in AAU. Really one of those guys that was known for his relationships with the players. You know, put in all of the extra work, all of the extra hours, really, really dedicated to not only the craft of coaching, but also the craft of being a mentor to these players that come through here. So thoughts and prayers with the entire Panola community and his family and everybody that knew him and loved him. And we just really wanted to express our condolences and give Tad a special shout out tonight as our final sixth man.
All right, that concludes the show. Thoughts and prayers to the family of Tad, and we'll be back next week, season 2, episode 6. Thanks for watching.
See you then.